Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. We'll currently wait for the rest to be on board, and then we will start the online streaming. Now, while we are waiting actually for others to join the session, I am happy to say that we have actually currently interviewed about 30 leaders across 10 countries in Asia. So the topics shared within this leadership during crisis ranges actually from the personal portion on how an individual overcome their emotional crisis, or financial and business crisis, like what Arthur Carmazzi is sharing with us today. And are other leaders who are also sharing based on how they're handling the crisis in terms of leading the team, how they can effectively communicate with their team members, as well as the kind of mindset an individual should have. So we are very excited to launch this series every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if you have joined us actually from the LinkedIn invitation event, I will just be updating the event on a weekly basis. That means after today's session, at the end of the session, I'll update it to event 2 and send you a reminder or for Wednesday's session as well as Friday's session starting at 2. So thank you once again. We have actually more than 150. This morning when I was looking at it, it was about 175 just coming in from LinkedIn, and I'm really, really happy that for the first effort that we're organizing these, there's so much interest in this particular area. So let me just go through what we will be covering again today. So for a start, we will actually be having a welcome and chat. And if you have any questions that you'd like Arthur to address immediately after the episode, basically the episode will be premiering on YouTube exactly at 2 p.m. That's why I got you in a little earlier, because I realized when we were test running it, it's basically just starts 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It doesn't wait for anyone. So it's good to be in earlier so that we can watch the episode premiere all at the same time. That's one. Two is also, if you have any questions, you can actually type your questions into the chat box that you see on the live stream. So if you're using a desktop, it's likely going to be on the right-hand side. If you're using your mobile phone, likely it's actually going to be at the bottom of the screen where you can type in your questions that Arthur can address. He will be joining us a little later because he actually has a meeting going on right now, but definitely he will be here for the live chat session that will start immediately at the end of the episode premiere. So as you can see from the agenda on the bottom of the screen, we have 1:50 where we're actually doing a welcome and a chat currently. Then at exactly 2 p.m., we will have the episode premiere. And at 2:10 p.m., the premiere will end, and that's when live chat will begin. On your right side, this is where we're going to watch the shared screen YouTube like a premiere in the cinema. So I'm getting a bit excited because we're going to watch with everyone at the same time the first episode that we have created.
How are you, Janet?
I'm good. We are on the screen right now.
All right. Hi.
To everyone. So we are currently, what we're doing is we're just having a little short chat before I switch to the actual YouTube premiere episode so that everybody can watch. And I was just briefing everyone about the agenda for today. So how have you been, Arthur?
Yeah, still good. Still alive.
Still good,
Oh,
still.
it's Bali. What else can you say, man?
So I know you have been having a lot of meetings today. So we'll ask you to share a little bit of what you are doing a little later on after the screening of the things.
Okay, I'm ready, Janet. Anything for you?
Thank you so much. So now, I know you have been very, very busy actually doing a lot of organizational programs where you're doing culture change and culture initiative. How has the feedback been so far or response been?
Well, I mean, you think that, when you give stuff away for free, that everybody actually jumps on it, but only about, 50% of the people that, are getting the free programs are actually jumping on them, which is interesting, especially considering the benefit of that. But anyway, nevertheless, the ones that are the ones where we go in and we're helping all these organizations has been really positive so far, and and it also is leading to paid business, which is also good for our trainers who or consultants who are working on this, and it's but more importantly, I mean, the thing is that it's actually creating an impact. I mean, really, that's the big thing, because you've got all these people who don't necessarily get an opportunity to be more in their organizations, and this COVID-19 thing creates some great stuff, some great opportunities. So that's a plus. I mean, the money's nice too, but I mean the end result of actually doing something good for society and getting paid for it is kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and thank you for sharing this. So I'm excited to actually probably start a little later on this particular program of yours as well. So we will touch a little bit on what you do after the episode release. So I'm going to actually just switch a little, because we are already at 1:53 at the moment. And when we were testing actually the episode premiere, it basically just counts straight ahead. So I don't want anyone to be missing any of the exciting things that you are sharing actually during the episode release, and we'll come back to you again after the episode release. Okay?
Sure, I'm here. I can watch myself be pre-recorded.
Thank you. Okay. So now we're going to share the screen for the episode release. And in the meantime, if you have any questions that you like to ask Arthur, you can actually type in the chat box so that we can start answering the questions immediately after the episode release. It's going to start very, very soon.
Have you ever had a super high-performing individual?
Good afternoon, everyone. We have Mr. Arthur Carmazzi here with us this afternoon. You mentioned when you first started off the business, one of your first businesses failed. So how did you pull out, or how do you get yourself to stand up and then move on to DC psychology?
Well, see, business failure, in one of my books, I think it's the Architects of Extraordinary Team Culture, one of the quotes I say is that basically there's no such thing as success and failure. There's only success or mediocrity. Failure is essentially a stepping stone or a part of success. So even though it sucks to fail, you learn things. I mean, for example, even just, okay, going to the COVID-19, I had close to $50,000 worth of gigs that all got canceled in March, which kind of sucked. For this, we've been very good at our online presence, and that's been very helpful for everything that's been taken away. So the online presence has carried us forward and grown through this crisis. So because of that, we redirected our focus. We used the potential of things that we already had in order to maximize what COVID-19 was doing for other people.
Arthur, I heard that when you were young, it was tough, and there was a period of time where you were $500,000 in debt. Like today's COVID-19, many people who are, especially if they're working on a daily wage basis, and it's hand to mouth. How do you overcome situations, dire situations like that?
Well, I mean, literally, when I was younger, I mean, there was a time when I was going around. I had started my own business, and things weren't working out in the way that they were supposed to, and I literally had to collect Pepsi bottles and take them to the store so I could get money for gas. I mean, it was that bad sometimes. And then, finally, I'd get a client, and, I'd get some money and everything else and reinvest it. And, when I was young, was up and down in various situations where, sometimes I'd have a lot of money and then I wouldn't. And the situation that you're talking about, where I was $500,000 in debt, well, I mean, that's when I was working for this organization in Korea, and every project that I had done for them was successful. So I thought, damn, I'll start my own business. I'll take all my savings and I'll go ahead and do this for myself because it's working for everybody else. Now, what I hadn't really counted on was that I was really good at designing and creating all these different businesses, but I sucked at running them. So I came up with, like one of my more favorite ideas that was similar to one that we created for a client in Korea. I brought it to Singapore, took all of my money, and also borrowed another $500,000 Singapore dollars. And within a year and a half, I was $500,000 in debt and flat broke, which really sucked. Do not try this at home. Even then, I wanted to expand, and I was still in debt. I mean, $500,000, not that easy to pay off. And what happened eventually with that was I moved to Bali. Why? Well, because Bali was lower cost of living. I could actually hire somebody to do all the cleaning and cooking and everything else, so I could focus on business. So I had more time. And at the same time, the cost of designers and web guys and all this stuff, I could hire an entire team of these guys for the price it would cost me for one guy in Singapore. So that essentially was what got me started to the point of where I built DCI, the discovery of the Directive Communication Psychology, and essentially the body of work that's now being delivered by over 520 licensed trainers and consultants in 19 different countries.
Great, great. After I know that you bought this big piece of land at the beginning of the year before COVID-19 happened, your wife and yourself runs a successful Avalon resort. So what's happening right now? What are you doing to get yourself prepared?
See, that's the cool thing about life, right? You think you got it all figured out, and then you don't. So what happened was about 3 months ago, we literally spent $1 million, which we don't have. We took about $200,000 that we did have, and then we borrowed the rest, which was a lot of money, right? So I am actually now in debt. And of course, all of that stuff was fine because the income was coming in. The whole thing would have been able to be paid off in a little over a year. if everything was running in the way that it was supposed to, because we've got like 2 resorts and my own traveling around and plus the online and everything else. And so all of that combined would have allowed us to completely pay this off. But now we're in debt and a large portion of the income is gone, which again, it kind of sucks. But what are you going to do? I mean, you can go, oh my gosh, my income is gone. Or you can come up with super awesome creative ways to solve the problem. I mean, at the end of the day, how do you spend your time? And my wife is still worried. And the best thing that she says is the only good thing about this right now is that I'm still positive and I make her life bearable, because she's like totally freaked out because we've never been in debt. Well, I've been in debt, but as a family, we haven't been in debt. And this is like the first time, and it just happened to be the wrong time.
For you, I think because you have gone through crises, so it's not difficult for you to, hey, I lost that, let's bounce back and look for the opportunity. What would your advice be to someone who may not have really gone through that and they are right now in the deep pits? What's the first thing they have to do in order to get to the right kind of mindset to prepare themselves for the future?
At the end of the day, here's the question that I always ask myself and ask my kids. Is what I'm doing now going to help me to achieve my goals? I mean, that's the bottom line, right? You can blame things, get all upset. I mean, we have a resort also, right? And the resort was full and now it's empty. You can worry about it. You can complain about it. Sitting around and worrying about it isn't going to help.
That's true. That's true. Thank you for joining us and sharing your experiences with us.
My pleasure, Janet.
Hi, everyone. I see that some are late. Cohen, don't worry. Basically, what will happen is this will still be available on YouTube. I will share it actually on the LinkedIn channel a little later for those who actually are a little bit late or missed the session and would like to watch the video again. So right now we can start with the live chat session, but while we're waiting for people to type in, if you like to type in your question, you can actually type in on the chat box on the right hand side. If you are using a desktop, if you are using a mobile, I think it's at the bottom of the screen. In the meantime, maybe what I will do is I will ask Arthur to basically share a little bit about how and what kind of programs he's doing at these difficult times to ensure that his business goes on. Arthur, we can't hear you.
Because I turned off my microphone.
Okay.
Now that's better, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So anyway, one of the, if you actually think about it, there are, we're in this digital world, right? I mean, so, even though, for example, Uber, it doesn't actually sell anything, but they connect people to other organizations they connect people to people who want to drive them around, for example. Okay, so let's look at the concept of business in this kind of situation. Right now, there are still lots of organizations who basically have a problem right now, and that problem is that their people are a little bit freaked out. They're not being productive. Their companies are not running in the same way. So you can either, again, like when I was talking about in the video, is you can either look at that and say, for all these companies, they can say, oh, we're screwed and, we're going to lose money and we're going to go bankrupt. Or they can go ahead and say, wow, what are the opportunities here? So what we did is we looked at those companies and we identified an opportunity. Not one opportunity is that the people have a lot more time. The other opportunity is that basically, if the organizations themselves had better organizational cultures, and this is based on tons of studies that we've done and other people have done, that they're going to be more effective, they're going to be more profitable, and ultimately, right now in this kind of situation, it would also even give people an opportunity to kind of have a unified purpose during this crisis. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, now the other thing is that we've done all these culture change programs before, but now what we've done is we've taken all of the knowledge of how to do it and do it in a virtual way, so that we can, and we've certified almost 100 licensed organizational culture consultants to take that can go into these different companies and basically help them. So now we've created the client by giving away $1 million worth of culture consulting. And we've also created the people who can help those clients by getting them certified as culture consultants, because if you have to have the numbers on both sides. And so what happens now is that a lot of our culture consultants will go in, they'll use our tools, which do not require lots of time, in order to do these culture audits. And then from there, they'll give a kind of a strategy session, which is about 1 to 2 hours. Okay. And within that strategy session, they will tell these companies exactly what they should do, how they should do it. But what we find is that most of the companies, they go ahead and say, we don't know how to do this. It sounds like a great idea. How much would you charge us if you do it? And so therefore now the culture consultants get the work, and because we're basically managing both, so we're helping the culture consultants, so they give us 20% of the revenue that they get from doing the program, the programs with the companies. Okay, so this is one of the more profitable elements of what we're doing. I mean, of course, we're also doing our online programs, our online leadership program, The Hero's Way, has been doing very well because we've reduced the price so that we can get more people to do it. We're doing our first ever trainer certification online, which is going to be really fun. It's going to be done over a period of 2 weeks. And it's going to be very different than any normal online course, because it's a kind of a live online course kind of thing, and it's very interactive and stuff. So that one's one that we're very excited about.
Thank you, Arthur. I'm going to take on Retake's question here. He asks, what are the top 3 things to get right in this particular period?
Okay, well, I mean, right now, everybody's got problems. I mean, if you can find an answer to people's problems, first of all, I mean, you have to understand their problems. I mean, I don't know who said it, but somebody said, if you can articulate somebody's problem better than they can, then you will find a customer, because people know that you understand their problem. Okay, and there's different situations where people are, whether it's like, for example, with the people who we have supported as and helped them to get their certifications as culture consultants. These are mostly trainers who lost all their work. So now suddenly they have work. And of course, the companies who basically have their people. So these are all problems that people have. And all we're doing essentially is managing both. Okay. And by helping to, if you can, so the one thing overall that you got to get right is understanding people's problems. From there, how can you leverage yourself? Okay, I mean, right now we have over 520 licensed directive communication trainers in 19 different countries. Okay, what they're doing is they're literally going out there making money, but at the same time they're building the brand, which means more clients and more people to get the certification. So what the other thing that I would suggest is leverage on everything. Okay, so leverage on everything. And the number 3 thing, be ready to accept mistakes and move on. I mean, that's really the big thing, because sometimes you screw up, sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah, you got to just keep on going.
Yeah, great. So three things. First, actually, is to understand your customers and leverage whatever that you can. That's the second. And the third thing is accept that we make mistakes and we need to learn and move on. We have an interesting question here from Claudia. So I'm going to turn it on. Apparently, it says that you got stabbed during a robbery in 1990. That's how you got this new perspective in life. Would you care to share a little bit more?
you want to see the scar? Okay, so Claudia, yes, that's true. I got stabbed. That's definitely one of the things that has helped me to get a change in perspective. I do not recommend this, however. But yeah, anyway, I was in Puerto Rico and I was in the wrong place, wrong time. I mean, when you think you're going to die, you tend to rethink your life. And at that time, I was kind of an asshole, especially towards women. And I had a lot of different things that I had to look at about my life and the person I was and the person I wanted to be remembered as. And that definitely took me into a different direction, more towards, well, basically on a direction of trying to be a better human being. That was, I guess that was probably the biggest one. And then from there, different things, different directions. So I don't know if, I don't want to go into the big, long story behind that, but yeah, I guess that's kind of the gist of it.
She has a follow-up question on, would you share, I think you shared a little bit about your change in perspective in becoming a greater human being, and the newfound motivation. So maybe you can share from business perspective, what change? That means, how did you conduct your business before the incident, and how do you conduct the business actually afterwards?
Well, first of all, I was in a different business at that time, and I mean, at that time, I mean, I was the only one. I was like it was, everything was around me. The entire world revolved around Arthur Carmazzi, and it was, I had to be the center of attention. I had to I was a little bit of a control freak even. But after that, it was one of these things where I started to trust more people, and to be quite honest, it didn't always work out when I trusted more people. But the thing is that it was a lot easier on life in general after that. So it was it was still getting to the point of where you can let go of more of the ego and let other people kind of work with you. And even then, immediately, it's not like suddenly I was like, whoa, I'm so awesome. I mean, there was still a lot more learning after that happened.
Right. So actually, it's true, because I think I was in various other webinars or chat group sessions where they say there was a reason why COVID-19 happened. I think the human race probably has done too much harm. And it's time for all of us to reflect, to really think about what's our purpose in life. Is it really just about money? Like you said, once you are at the brink of death, your perspectives do definitely really change. So now I have a question from Davidson.
Dave.
He's asking, to move and stay ahead, what are some of the things not to do during this time?
What not to do? Don't think too much. I mean, right now okay. I mean, because Dave is one of our directive communication licensed trainers. Okay. I mean, right now, one of the things that you can do is basically think, everybody's stopping their training. Everybody's doing this. So you start focusing on all the things that people are not doing. But you forget all of the things that they are doing. So I mean, even just recently, Lily has gotten some pretty good a pretty good project with just the CBCI implementation. And that's again because they got nothing else to do, right? They have to build their people. So she did kind of like an online team building, and using colored brain. Okay, so people just go into the system and then they can see who's in their danger zone. So sell what you have. Don't think about what you can't do.
Right. Thank you. So we have another question from Cohen. Okay, I shall read because it got cut off some bits. It says, thanks, Arthur. It's a shadow side we all have to embrace. What to you is the tipping point between having an ego, a healthy one, and being humble? Sometimes we can be too humble to a fault.
Yeah. No, I still am kind of full of myself. I mean, quite honestly, I still like to be, the center of attention. Hi, I'm Arthur Carmazzi, best-selling author, yada. So, I mean, I'm not going to deny it is important for me to get recognition. I like the recognition. I like to be recognized. But it's all about. This is the question that I ask myself. Okay, am I being an asshole?
Cohen, I saw Arthur was cut off halfway through. So what I have just actually messaged him. So that's the wonder that we have right now. We have WhatsApp, we have YouTube. So it's not getting into his line. He has not managed to see it yet. I think he's trying to come on. So if you are still available, I think let's wait for him to come on. So you're right, Cohen. I think he's on to something pretty powerful. I think he's coming back on. So maybe I can get him to share again one more time. Okay, Arthur. Arthur.
Yes.
I think you're halfway through your entire conversation was frozen.
Oh, that's tragic.
Yes, so Cohen is saying that it's a shame because you're onto something powerful. So maybe you could share a little bit more again, because I think we froze a lot.
Okay, so we've got the Arthur's asshole rule. Okay, well, anyway, the main thing, I guess, is that if you're making other people small, okay, I mean, eventually that's when you're doing something wrong. And then I went on to talk about Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Steve Jobs. These are people who have done notable things. And it doesn't matter who, even, you're looking, Mother Teresa wasn't into, being recognized. Well, here's the thing, right? Nobody will ever do anything big if they don't have a personal sense of significance, because they'll just settle for, oh, well, if Mother Teresa would have just settled on, let me just help this village. Okay. But she didn't want to settle on helping a village. She wanted to make a big impact, global impact. You don't do that unless you've got a pretty healthy ego, right? Steve Jobs literally changed the world, and, he was doing, everybody knows Steve Jobs had a healthy ego, but still, the thing is that nobody does anything nobody does anything of note, okay, without having that, that healthy ego. It's just about how you connect with people around you. Right.
Great. Thank you so much. Do you have any more questions? We are to 1 minute more to 2:30. I would not like to hold anybody up. Anyone else has any more questions that you'd like to ask Arthur? I think there's one question from Claudia. Let me see. But she's asking about the book. So let me just scroll through. Okay. She's asking currently, what is the favorite book that you enjoyed writing?
Oh, my favorite one? Well, it's actually, my favorite one is my brand new one, which isn't out yet. It's called Game On, Reinventing Organizational Culture Through Gamification. But my second one, or my second favorite, is the last one that I wrote, called Architects of Extraordinary Team Culture. So that one's fun as well. It's kind of like a little cheeky story.
Right. So I think, thank you so much, Arthur, for sharing and your time. So all of you, if you miss the beginning of the episode, you can still watch it on YouTube. I'll share it on the LinkedIn events page to all of you. And I will look at the quality and edit the live version where we had these Q&A with Arthur, cut off the frozen bits. And then I will repost it back onto YouTube and share with you guys again. So the next thing I would like to let you know is actually for the next episode, it will be actually at 2 p.m. again on Wednesday on overcoming emotional crisis. And that will be shared by 3 people, each one basically sharing from their perspective how they overcome their personal emotional crisis. The first one who's sharing is actually Rafia, who basically shared how her fear about COVID-19. She thought she had COVID-19. And then we have Surijata sharing about her entrepreneurship journey, plus also Avi Leran at the end about how he views shit that happens to us in our life and how it refines us. So thank you again for taking time. Thank you, Arthur, for spending this afternoon with us. Yes,
Can I say
something you
something?
want to share? Yeah, sure.
Since we're on YouTube,
Yes.
please subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Okay. Subscribe to Arthur Carmazzi's YouTube channel. I will try and put it into the video when I do the editing for the live chat as well.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, everyone.
If you want to know, if anybody wants to know about the organizational culture consultant certification, please also just go ahead and send me a note.
Right. Thank you for attending this session. Thank you, Arthur, for your time. Well, see you all again actually on Wednesday. I'll come in at 1:30, but the session, please do come in a little earlier so that you do not miss the episode when we premiere it, because I can't really control it. It starts really on time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.